Symphony of Passion. What is a symphony of passion? A symphony of passion may be a single work of art. A symphony of passion may be a large grouping of paintings. A symphony of passion may be a small grouping of paintings. A symphony of passion may be quiet at times, or it may speak with force and bravado. A symphony of passion may be the aura of color as a truth of the mind's light. A symphony of passion may be the dancing of form and order with emotion in a work of art. A symphony of passion may be a painting's soft caress of the seer. How does a symphony of passion develop and grow? What am I passionate about? I am passionate about art and life. My 45 years of painting have been a symphony of passion. I see my works as silent music, visual music. I see my works as a silent symphony, a visual symphony. Symphony of Passion consists of 45 years of painting and several different series. My different series are the equivalent of the different instruments in a symphony. I have always been passionate about being a woman artist, born in 1953. I moved to New York City in the fall of 1979 after finishing my MFA in Chicago at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. To discuss being female, I painted on plastic shower curtains and linoleum tiles and mixed my paint in refrigerator containers. My symbols for the domestic speak forcefully, whether fabric panel, shower curtain, or studio implements. My emotive force has been evident for 45 years. As a young artist in New York, I worked at the Museum of Natural History and loved the natural world of bones and fossils as being relevant to my painting. My perched minerals and fossils do relate to that. The continuum of the natural world is seen in Trilobite Awakening and Malachite Sweetness Latte Dough, both of 2011. Small in their scale, their seriousness about the continuum is grand and large in its mindset. The idea of there being a continuum is very much a part of my painting, and that is also discussed by incorporating fossils. The continuum of expressive abstraction. The continuum of the domestic seen in visual art. The continuum of emotion as a serious enterprise. I have always been an abstract painter. There has never been any conflict about my being an abstractionist. My untitled work from 1973 was created while a sophomore at Alfred University College of Art and Design, done for a show that was evaluated so that I could become an upper-class student. It is abstract. It speaks to me 46 years later. It is a self-portrait, a profile of my face. When I was in my early 40s in 1997, I wanted to discuss external society juxtaposed with an emotional markscape or abstractscape, so I combined fabric with my oils and diptychs and triptychs. I saw the fabric as symbolic of female domestic history. I saw my emotional oils as resultant of emotive force and felt that my whole self was being discussed. Yes, I am a woman artist. I wanted to feminize abstract expressionism, a male-dominated school, and make my work relevant to the late years of the 20th century and the first years of the 21st century. I call the series Home Economics, to hark back to my middle school class about domestic life in the home. Yes, I see my abstractions as silent music. I see my abstractions as passionate symphonies or passages of jazz. I see my abstractions as imbued with an integrity that looks back to history while also being very contemporary. I title my paintings as if I am naming a child, 100 Lives of Earth, John Brown and the Hermit Thrush, Birthright, Psyche Soul. The title adds to the work's identity, giving evidence to my thoughts made physical. My titles are my thoughts made cerebral. The Home Economics Series, 1995 to 2003, comes a decade or two after the Femage of Miriam Schapiro. Schapiro described her use of fabric collage as femage and felt that it was a political act. I too consider home economics to be a political act in a personal way. I was living in a city, Jersey City, just across from Lower Manhattan, when I created this series, and the series speaks of urban complexity. My aphorisms describe this series. Surface is consciousness, abstraction is visual philosophy, art is my biology. These works are my aesthetic family. I communicate with them silently. I learn from them. They are self-portraits. That is why they are complex. When I say abstraction is visual philosophy, I mean that my painting is about abstract thought. I try to capture my response to the world, the natural world as well as our minds. That is why I say art is my biology. It is a metaphor for the profound essence of the world. My paintings are my descendants, so I say art is my biology. Yes, abstraction is visual thought. Abstraction is visual philosophy. It interprets life. It is about ideas. A painting's surface contains evidence of the time and thought that went into the creation of the work, so I say surface is consciousness. In 2015 through 2017, I assembled already created canvases together that were from various periods of my career, putting canvases that are decades apart in assemblages, and called the series Tonal Variation. Metabolic Histories and Adirondack Avenue 3 are of the series. The works of my Tonal Variation series are pure painting. There is no fabric, but because the works are from different time periods, they are also autobiographical. They are also self-portraits. I was in my 60s when I created this series, a series assessing my life as an abstract painter. Metabolic Histories has a canvas from 1984 and canvases from the late 1990s and 2000 that will be shown in their original form as of the Home Economics Series. Metabolic Histories is monumental in its expressiveness. It is a monumental self-portrait. Adirondack Avenue 3 consists of self-portraits that were single paintings. These are biographies with changes to the original based on the assemblage. They look backward to be new. They are the result of my old age, spanning 35 years in Metabolic Histories. I changed the original orientation at times. The Tonal Variation assemblage assesses my life of painting with a force resulting from decades of commitment. Migratory Continuo 3 is also of the Tonal Variation series. In its first life, it was a home economics piece. I overpainted the original canvas that was decades old, so it is only a tonal variation assemblage. The overpainting makes it unique for this series, generally, of older works assembled. In 2016, after a year's treatment for breast cancer was finished, I began the Liminal series, pure small paintings. I continue the series today. My aphorism, Surfaces Consciousness, describes these small canvases. I transfer the oil from canvas to canvas or paper to canvas by pressing down and sometimes gliding along. I love the reticulated surface that results from the pressing. I use 50% cold wax and 50% oil to create a fine surface. I find surface to be profound. Thoughtscape, Voice Partita, and Forest Partita are all liminal works. I work on them until their spirituality surfaces, as in those three, as well as within Night 2. My brush with mortality inspired this series. They are pure statements. They capture my studio in a hayfield in the Adirondack Park. I see the light of a mind as well as the light of a field. I see the natural world. The medium-sized works, inner chorus and silent chorus, speak the same language as the smaller works. Yes, I am still working. I am still working even though I am an underknown artist. This is my 28th solo show. Yes, I am still working. I worked as a young adult. I worked when in middle age. Yes, I am still working in the early years of old age. I see sightlines in bird flight. I see sightlines in my abstraction. They are evident in this untitled work. They are evident in my home economics series. I actually see sightlines in figurations such as an El Greco with its sightlines of color juxtaposed. I believe that all art, if art, is abstract, whether figurative or abstraction itself. Insecurity breeds profound process is one of my aphorisms. Insecurity and persistence are the defining couple of my work. Abstract suggestiveness is symbolic and felt, not only seen. The aesthetic is a life form closest to the natural and the biological in its sublimity. Aesthetic love is never fickle. If it is, the work in mind is not aesthetically based, but is sentimentally based. Yes, to look back at years of work is fundamental to deep self-esteem. Yes, my work is a symphony of passion. This show is a symphony of passion. The earliest work in Symphony of Passion is an untitled ink drawing from 1970. It speaks of the sensitive and is partially a blind contour drawing. Yet I believe it is as monumental intellectually as metabolic histories. Its sightlines are abstract. It speaks of my future awareness of sightlines as being profound. Yes, sightlines are a symphony of passion. Yes, abstraction is visual philosophy. Yes, a work surface is a film of consciousness. I have a Maine connection. There has been a family summer home in North Lubeck since I was 16 years old. I visit it once a year and sit looking out at the cove while working on paper. So I have been visiting Maine for 50 years this summer. I am grateful for exhibiting at the University of Maine Museum of Art. Thank you, George Kinghorn, for your selections. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. And I thank you for coming to this talk.